back, hopefully with not nearly as much problems as last time. Oh, there's already a few problems just trying to get in here. So, hopefully things are going fine right now. So, right now, let's let's pick up where we left off. I mean, last time we were talking about how the whole representation thing in medieval fantasy such as Lord of the Rings was kind of a wasted opportunity when you where you could have just had a diverse medieval fantasy setting that's outside of Europe.
Well, I think you could also just make up your own unique settings too.
Yeah.
Like, look, we don't always need things to be, you know, um, we don't always need to be things medieval fantasy. We don't need everything to be like, the same cookie cutter shit. We can have lots of options, you know?
Yeah, I mean we can. I mean some people have tried. I mean, granted, most fantasies that were made up were kind of loosely based off of something. I mean, the whole Avatar: The Last Airbender. I mean, that's taken up from wushu stories and everything.
Yeah. Like, Avatar The Last Airbender, Wushu stuff, And there's also, like, samurai fantasy, too. You know? Like, that is actually a thing. But, you could also you can also do urban fantasy, I guess. You know,
Urban
have it
fantasy.
be.
Yeah. You know what that got us? That got us Twilight.
Look, I'm just saying, I would love to read I would love to read the adventures of Professor Woofers, Werewolf Detective.
I mean, yeah, it's like you could have a White Wolf World of Darkness setting. I mean, granted, I don't trust anyone to do Call of Cthulhu, right? Granted, every time they try, it just ends up being hilarious.
Oh yeah, like, look, I, look. The best Call of Cthulhu movie is the silent movie somebody made. That was good.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Then again, this does remind me of another HBO show that touches some of your favorite lore. Lovecraft Country. It's Lovecraft Country, everybody. The
It's more
show you forgot
antebellum
about for
period
good
than
reason.
Lovecraft, actually.
Nope. And oh dear lord, did you? And oh dear lord, what the second season was going to be about was probably one of the most racist things I've ever read about.
Yeah, god damn it. A lot. All
Let
this,
me put it.
all this eldritch abominations and shit. It's driving
Well,
me.
no,
Yeah.
well, no. Apparently, like the United States was going to be divided into like separate locations of white, black, Mexican. It was honestly uncomfortable to read about.
Well, it's the one thing these people are obsessed with. It's like what the. Actually, I'll adjust my mic here because I seem to be coming in low. But yeah, it's the one thing they're obsessed with. It's just showing off how victimized we all are. I was like, are you done calling us victims? Can we actually go out and be awesome for once?
Yeah.
And yeah, granted, I've seen stuff that are just. I mean, yeah, that is kind of annoying. Although the stuff I've seen in the Sinking City was kind of funny though, because it's like they actually try to portray the Deep Ones as this oppressed minority race. I was like, the Deep Ones, the fish
Yes.
people, the
Yes.
guy who just constantly shout out, "You're not welcome here, outsider." Get out, outsider! It's like the aquatic version of an angry hillbilly, effectively.
Yeah,
That's base. That's basically Deep Ones in a nutshell. And just go, just read Shadow over Innsmouth. Normal human beings are the minorities in that community. Assuming they haven't been fed to a Shogoth or something.
look, look. But let's get back to Lord of the Bling, Lord of the Bling and
Yeah,
Pain, and
Lord of the Bling Bling. Yes, I
um,
know you like Lovecraft Country, or at least what episode one of Lovecraft Country. I never got into it. In fact, I like the first few minutes of Lovecraft Country. That's about it.
honestly, it gets bad as it went along. I'll say this: it was just a painful show by it, mostly because um, it felt like it was written by a bunch of posers. Ironically enough. Okay, let me put it this way: one of the big problems with Lovecraft Country is that there's no real big adaptation of Lovecraft that took over pulp culture. Lovecraft is just like that is still in the realm of deep nerd shit to know about. You know? Like sure, there's a Cthulhu expansion to every game. I have the Cthulhu expansion to myself. His name his name is Davoth, the Unspeakable. Say hello, Davoth, the Unspeakable. See? Unspeakable.
Not to
And
mention, it's one of
there's
those things that you cannot convey in a simplified manner the way like most adaptations are when it comes to
well,
like media.
it's not even just that. There hasn't been a majorly popular one that colored the public perception. There just isn't. Um, a lot of creators were inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. Um, Alan Moore of Watchmen is one particular dude who took a lot of inspiration. Like, where do you think he got the idea for the giant squid alien?
That was cut out of the movie.
I understand, but who cares about the movie? I am not here to appease the Snyder stands. Fuck you guys. I am here talking about my lord and savior, the squid.
it, I mean, the best way to understand like the Cthulhu mythos, deities, and monsters is that the picture you're seeing of the creature you see before you is just a small portion of it.
Yes.
Cthulhu is pretty much the equivalent of like maybe a finger or a toenail of something even bigger from his dimension. You're not seeing him in his true form. That's the thing.
Well, yes. But,
But yeah, but speaking of posers, let's go into the actual like posers. The rings
well,
of posers when you get right down to it cuz man, I
well,
just got done seeing like the super fan reactions. The
yeah,
compilations of super fan reactions because I realized they had a different one for different countries.
yeah. Let me put it this way right now. Lord of the Rings is a highly influential series of books. Um, it basically has made most of fantasy in general. Yes, it's popular all over.
Oh, by the
Yes,
way, here's a spicy take. It's like, isn't it just stereotypical to just have the fat white blonde woman be the one from Germany?
well, we Germans.
Am I about to hear a Wagner opera?
Well, you see, we Germans like the thick woman. You see,
Yes. What the fuck?
but I'm not that type of German. I'm the Jew German, and you know what happens to us?
I thought you were British.
I'm several different things, but most. Listen. Anyway,
But yeah, but yeah, thing, things are kind of hectic with the whole like rings of power thing. I mean, it. The whole thing just feels so corporatized.
Well, the big problem with right now, I feel with um the big problem I feel like with this one too is I feel like Amazon's just trying to make something big and they don't know how. So they're trying to find something that
Later, Phil.
will. Well, here's the thing. Uh here's the thing about it with with the whole thing is that, for one thing, the showrunners have no experience. This is the first time show running anything at
Oh
all.
shit, we've been here before, haven't we?
Yeah.
It, Game of Thrones all over again. In fact, it's not even Game of Thrones. It's Game of Thrones season 8 all over again.
Uh, Look, they only have a poem. They're going off about four poems. Four poems.
And they're gonna try to expand on them.
Yes. And right now, they're basically in the mode of, how do we make this fan fiction? This billion $1 billion fan fiction. And here's the thing, I'm not even sure what the story is. I Okay, I'm gonna look up a synopsis of the story. Let's figure this out together. Does that sound good, everybody?
Alright, alright.
Let's Rings of Power. What's the story? Morning Glory. You know? Okay. The heroic. Okay, all right. I found the description. The series brings to screen, for the very first time, the heroic legends of the fabled Second Age of Middle-earth's history. The epic drama set thousands of years before Lord of the Rings, blah blah blah, and takes viewers back to an era in which great powers for were forged, kingdoms rose to glory and fell to ruin. Unlikely heroes were tested, hope hung by the finest of threads, and the greatest evil villain that ever flowed from Tolkien's pen threatened to cover all the world in darkness. Beginning in a time of relative peace, the series follows an ensemble cast of characters, both familiar and new, as they confront the long feared reemergence of evil to Middle Earth. From the darkest of the misty mountains. Um, okay, what? Look, okay, I got all that. How can you say so much and yet so little? We
Yeah,
got Second Age.
yeah,
Uh, I guess they're implying Sauron. I guess this is a Sauron prequel, maybe. Um,
I hope they're not doing the Disney thing of trying to make him out to be not so bad of a guy.
no, we're gonna see how he got his name. He saw a dinosaur and a guy named Ron on it, and he was like, Sauron. Yes.
The- What? I keep in mind, uh, Amazon only had the rights to the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits. They don't have the rights to the Silmarillion, which means they can't even adapt that. They actually have
Yes,
to remake one of those two, which they don't want to do.
yeah, basically, right now they are stuck in a hellhole. Because here's the thing, if they could adapt the Silmarillion, that's actually a fertile playing ground of stuff you can just have fun with. Like,
I mean, knowing that, I can now understand the diversity casting because they had to do something to make it stand out.
no. Like I said, I don't. I like I said, I really am not bothered by the casting as much as people, but it is what it is. I hate the fact that they're trying to use
Well,
that, but it is what it is.
well, that's the thing. It's like they don't have benign intentions with the casting. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
oh, by the way, I'm going to take down the overlay and show off that I actually did find the Rings of Power. Or not this one. This one. It's a goddamn Sega Genesis game.
Oh my god.
I'm not even kidding. There was already a Rings of Power.
That does sound like a.
Here are but some of the beings you will encounter. The Red Priests are the servants of Nexus. They can be found in most cities. Oh my god. From the Book of Nexus. Before Nexus, we lived in darkness. The sun shone as the brightly as ever. But dang it, I can't even read some of this. Da 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 was it's like ours was a darkness of the soul.
Let me tell you about the darkness of my soul.
Yeah.
I call I call him Jimmy.
And it looks like some kind of isometric RPG. I like how they actually have to, because of the angle of which the camera is at, they actually have to designate which direction you're really going on the direction
Yeah,
pad.
that is kind of great. But in all seriousness, I do enjoy it. But like, like I want this series to have potential, but I'm just not seeing it. It like it feels like they're trying to be everything, but not like. But they don't really have a focus. They don't know what's good. They don't know what works.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that plagues a lot of big industry creators is that because they have so much resources, they feel like they can do everything. And really, you should just do one thing really, really good.
I also think honestly, they just have bad priorities I because to me it's like this. They want to be like, oh, we're exploring because they really want to be like, we're exploring things Token didn't do. And isn't it amazing? It's like, dude, he created the world. You're just saying we're you should just say you're expanding on Token's work. Because guess what? You're not Token didn't think of some of these things. You're adding to it. You're literally pasting stuff on in some horrible, monstrous fashion.
Yeah, you're building on a foundation, guys. You're not making your own foundation. And if you are gonna make your own foundation, you gotta have to be content with not making much on that foundation and relying others to build on top of it.
Now, Mike, how dare you? We have such a solidly strong. Oh wait, the floor just collapsed. Never mind.
Yeah, I look at some of the most really big and complex games out there. How did they become so complex? Well, they had an extensive modding community building on top of it.
Uh huh.
I mean, just look at Space Station 13, the deepest like sim game I've ever seen, and all it did was like have like several different servers just come up with their own like stats, rules, and everything, and then it just kind of like started, and then people just started borrowing the best mods from each other.
That's fair. You know what we should do? You know what they should have done instead? That would have been amazing.
Uh huh.
They should have made an adaptation of Dwarf Fortress.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Think about it.
And Seth would
Like
be the narrator.
it would be amazing. and then
Yes.
things would just slowly unravel in amazing detail.
Yeah, and
Think
they would
about
have Yogscast sing the theme song.
and think about it. They would also just have like, they would have unlimited script power because guess what? That thing randomly generates the plot.
Exactly.
You could do so much. Let me put it this way. Dwarf Fortress is right there. I guess like these people are are not into weird, obscure computer games made by one mad in a mad dash to create a perfect simulated fantasy world. But I say we are weaker as people for not embracing this knowledge.
Let's be real here. We're more likely going to get a Minecraft movie before we get a Dwarf Fortress movie.
It is true. Look, dude, I've read the Minecraft graphic novels, and not a lot of them are right to write home about. The second one about school bullying was
Oh boy.
that was fun to read about.
In fact, here's a challenge I have for Hollywood: make an action movie where nobody screams. Just do that and see what happens.
I want to make an action movie where they all only talk in screams, and during the action scenes they talk calmly.
Yeah, like they're being, professional. It's like the only emotion people are allowed to have in certain movies is just angry screaming or yelling. It's just what the there are more
Yeah,
emotions than that. I've lost count as to how many movies I've seen where in order to show intense emotion, somebody has to scream.
yeah.
And but yeah, that was just something I saw in the trailer. This I just thought was funny. At this rate, because of the position they're in, they might as well just make it a comedy if you're gonna do this.
Hmm. Honestly, I think they were just kind of like mad that Man in a High Castle never became a bigger hit, which, you know, I joke a bit, but that would be a hard show to make popular at all.
Yeah, there's probably like a couple of things that are like hard to make popular. I mean,
Well,
I
like,
think it was like
make,
Apple Plus tried to adapt the Foundation series, and
oh,
oh boy, that was a shit show.
I heard that some of the people working on that are actually working on this one, so
Oh dear,
yeah.
oh dear.
Yeah. Yeah.
That does explain a lot of the stuff we're seeing.
Yeah. We call it pain. It just reminded me of all the pain.
But that's the thing. Foundation is just one of those books I feel like it'd be very difficult to, if at all, to adapt into a visual series because it's more about ideas than visuals.
Well, that's kind of the thing with a lot of these some high concept stuff is that is Foundation would probably be good with like somebody who's like willing to do like a play style type thing. Like, I
Yeah,
think you could actually maybe do Foundation as a stage play
yeah.
and actually have it be pretty good.
In fact, you know what Foundation would have worked best as? It would have worked best as maybe a Twilight Zone episode.
There's some that's actually a pretty neat idea.
Because basically it would you would have to almost try to make it very much like the old school high concept uh, sci-fi TV shows that just that was very low budget, but they tried to come up with like weird, it's like weird alien environments, but they just didn't focus on the alien environments. They just focus on high concept and high ideas.
Hmm.
I mean, kind of like in a very like Doctor Who or Star Trek style fashion. I mean, that's basically what you would have to do with the Foundation series. Problem is, modern sci-fi showrunners don't do that. When they're in a sci-fi setting, they have to focus on flashy special effects, spaceships and the like.
Or people crying.
Yeah, and you're gonna run into the same problem with well, almost the same kind of problem with the fantasy world because it's like,
Well, it kind of reminds me of fuck. One of the things with Star Trek Discovery was that a lot of its creators. You want to know what they worked on before Star Trek?
what, Babylon 5?
No. Okay, okay, okay. I'm gonna give you three guesses. Um, we'll say that try not to go sci-fi series.
Oh, okay. I mean,
Just three.
okay. They probably worked on like may I was seeing like a little bit of teen comedy in there, a little bit of like or like teen sitcom in there, and I was seeing a little bit of, I guess, courtroom drama and a little bit of like campy action in there. So it's got to be
Okay.
like among those genres.
All right. Cool. 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 But are you? But okay, 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 okay. But are you gonna name me a show that they worked on? Come on, like,
I
like I
mean,
said.
may I mean maybe Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Okay, okay,
If
Buffy. That's not a bad idea. Okay, Buffy. Sure, we'll put a pin on that. You're wrong, but good going on that one.
I mean, and I don't want to say Married with Children because Married with Children is far too base for that.
Okay, that was we'll call that your second guess, and you are wrong on that one too. So don't worry, but nice try.
That was just the thing I was ruling out too.
Don't worry, you have one more guess.
I mean, I swear, if this turns out to be Game of Thrones that they worked on, it is, isn't it?
No, it's not Game of Thrones.
All right.
Okay, it did have a G in it. It was Gilmore Girls.
I knew it had to be some kind of sitcom
That's not a sitcom. That's an hour-long dramedy.
or dramedy or whatnot.
But I was still like, you did not call it. You were kind of on the right track, though. I'll give you that.
Because it's like looking at the style of humor and the way the whole thing's paced. It's like they were writing more of a comedy than a sci-fi show.
Uh huh.
And
Yeah.
and I think that points to an even greater problem. It's like we got people who are not into this genre getting into this genre or getting into the prime symbols of these genres. I mean,
Yeah.
it reminds me of that horror anthology you showed me a while ago, where one of the stories was made and directed by somebody who hated horror movies.
Oh fuck.
Double X.
Yeah, the female horror movie director showcase.
I'm like, what the?
Yeah. Yeah, because here's the thing. Sometimes it's actually good to get somebody who's outside the genre to do it, Because guess who actually didn't like horror movies growing up and was not part of them, and he became a big horror director?
What, Sam Raimi?
Wes Craven.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't
actually
even
look
know
up
that
his
about Wes Craven.
history. Guy wasn't a horror dude. In fact, like his parents forbid him from watching movies as a kid.
I mean, the one good thing about having an outsider is that they they can have a different take on things. They can take things into a new directions. It's just that sometimes those take that direction goes right into a brick wall. I mean, but yeah, watching the interviews of some of the whole like super fans, I mean, most of what they're excited about has nothing to do with the setting at all. I mean, it has nothing to do with the Lord of the Rings. It has nothing to do with Middle Earth. A lot of it had a lot to do with how much they're gushing over Sauron for some god awful reason. It's like, what if I could change him? What if I could change the Dark Lord? Holy shit. That is that dude must have some relationship issues.
Yeah, it's true.
I remember me and my siblings, we used to make fun of like the Bride of Dracula in every like movie that happens to have one. Whereas like she kept going like, it's like, oh, he's really a nice guy. It's like he's fucking Dracula. the the dude manipulates people and drains them of their blood to extend his own lifespan.
It's true.
And I think it speaks to a level of like I think somewhere in Hollywood they just kind of made a policy just not to display evil anymore.
Something like that.
Or it's like traditionally evil characters have to have some form of redeeming quality.
That sometimes there's a bunch of weird stuff like that. It really depends on the production,
Yeah.
but either way,
I mean,
Lord,
I would just say that the redeeming quality has to be a facade. So yeah, what we have here is like a bunch of corporate media types shilling for a movie that or for a series that was that's being produced by Amazon because Amazon made a really bad purchase and doesn't know what to do with it. I mean, Bezos, what are you doing?
Bezos. Look, we as we have established, Bezos is an idiot.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this is right off the heels of A New World, that MMO game that is crashing and burning even as we speak.
Uh huh.
And I think I heard like the most concise and accurate review of that game is that they put everything they can in that game except the fun. It is
Oh
the
yeah.
most corporatized game you can ever imagine. And I think that's what we're going to end up with their shows, with their media production. It's just got to be corporatized. It's got to be like if it was produced in an Amazon factory. I think Jeff Bezos is trying to be the Ford of 2020s.
Oh yeah.
We're going to see a brave new world where everything is just rolled off an assembly line. What do you think is going to happen next after Amazon's Lord of the Rings? Because let's face it, they've done what was it? They've done Wheel of Time. Now they're doing Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
what's left?
My bet. We're gonna see. I was gonna say Percy Jackson, but that's happening somewhere else, actually. So who knows?
I mean,
Um,
maybe they'll try to get into World of Darkness. I don't know. After all, let's face it. It's like the Vampire the Masquerade 2 Bloodlines 2 is kind of receiving its own shit show, and it's in development hell right now. Eh, but yeah, maybe when that game comes out, they'll try to capitalize on that. Maybe they'll. I'm trying to think of like what other fantasy or like nostalgic property they can get into. I mean, Conan maybe.
Conan's been in talks, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And we already have a reboot of He-Man.
Hey man, and the muscles of the
Well, it's just Masters of the Universe now. I think they dropped the He-Man.
no, actually, they did it for Revelations. He Man has another cartoon going on. That's He Man and the Masters.
All right.
I actually
Maybe
watched
they'll bring
it.
back GI Joe. I don't know. Because yeah,
GI Joe. Uh,
you
they
gotta
they
remember
actually
they're gonna go after like whatever nostalgic properties that were from our childhood.
uh they actually did bring back GI Joe. He had Snake Eyes had a movie last year.
Oh, son of a bitch!
Like I
Definitely didn't do well
like
because I never heard of it. I don't think anyone's heard of it.
well I brought it up, so no, I kept track of that shit because I was kind of curious, but it went over like a wet hot lead balloon in the summer.
But
Um
yeah,
didn't, didn't
because
do
now
well,
I'm
but
just
it did.
listing off toy lines. It's like GI Joe, He Man, Nick's
Okay,
so
okay,
there's always
okay.
gonna be Transformers though. But yeah, I think Michael Bay already drove that one into the ground.
Well, we're getting another Transformers movie soon, Rise of the Beasts. This time we're moving from the 80s to the 90s to my childhood, where I'll see my Beast Wars favorites get properly fucked in the ass.
You know, if they wanted to be really, really ballsy, they would have they would have a Transformers movie taking place in Canada. Just,
Um,
just have Optimus Prime just strolling right into Toronto.
sorry, Justin Trudeau. I am a truck, and I have the right of all sentient beings.
Transformers, roll out and occupy.
Anyway, I think we
Yeah,
should.
I think I think we're gonna have to like leave it off here before we get ourselves in trouble.
Yeah, something. Anyway,
Before Trudeau
everybody,
like unleashes the military-themed Decepticons on
yeah.
horseback. Oh dear. I think that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts on the Lord of the Rings?
Honestly, I it's probably gonna be a clusterfuck, but we will see.
Well, that's about it. And remember, guys, buyer beware.